Hello everyone and welcome back to round 2 of our Formula Fantasy 2025 career mode. This weekend we are here at the Formula 1 Gulf Air Bahrain Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live a few days ago from Australia, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. I taught you guys through all of the drivers, all of the teams, and of course we had a very exciting opening Grand Prix. So, Bahrain often promotes some good racing action around its 15 corners here, so I'm hoping that we can get another good race under our belt once again, and if possible, get another podium. Maybe, just try and get a victory as well. But of course, yeah, a very different circuit to the one we saw out in Melbourne, so it is going to be a tough test of the new Apex GP car. Taking a look though at the grid ready for this weekend. Once again, the battle on Saturday afternoon was between the McLarens and the Nismo Red Bulls, but Lando Norris, of course race winner out in Australia, will line up on pole this time round just ahead of his teammate Carlos Sainz. So again, McLaren definitely look like ones to watch. Charles Leclerc though, brilliant effort in P3 ahead of Max Verstappen, with ourselves there lining up in P5 ahead of Isaac Hadjar. Kimi Antonelli in P7 ahead of Valtteri Bottas, once again another top 10 in his VW. Nico Hülkenberg, Alexander Albon rounding out your top 10, just ahead of Pierre Gasly in that first Repsol Williams and Paul Aron. Franco Colapinto, Gabriel Bortoleto will make up row 7, just ahead of Joshua Pearce and Richard Verschoor. George Russell in his Genesis there down in P17, just ahead of Pepe Marti, with Yuki Tsunoda and Esteban Ocon in 19th and 20th, and then Oscar Piastri and Oliver Behrman rounding out the grid. Let's head down to the track then, and let's get this Grand Prix underway. Well, here we are then, down on the grid, ready for round 2 of the season from the Bahrain Grand Prix. Once again, it's going to be a 29-lap race ahead of us, but unlike Australia, the two-stop was the way to go in Albert Park, wasn't it? Lando Norris proved that when all is said and done. But we will be on the two-stop strategy as well today. Mediums for the first stint, mediums for the second stint, or I might swap that around to go hards in the middle. So we've hopefully got a bit of a tire advantage towards the end of the day. I did do some practice on the softs. I just don't think they were the one to have around at this venue. But lining up then, just behind the McLarens, Leclerc, Verstappen, it's 5 red lights. And the Bahrain Grand Prix is go then, off to a fairly wheel-spinny getaway, as we will try and manage down in towards turn 1. Norris, though, not getting off to a particularly good start, so it is going to be his teammate Sainz that immediately swoops through there, as Hadjar and Antonelli both capitalising on my weak start, as Verstappen and Norris now making contact. So Verstappen now even getting ahead of him, but look at that up the hill. He's going to try and find a way around Charles Leclerc as well, as there is a lot of kind of cars trying to find any avenue they can. Antonelli and Hadjar having a bit of a battle as well, as we will suddenly try to have a look around the outside of the Red Bull Nismo driver there. Can we get the car slowed down? Yes, we just about can. Got to remember to keep it inside track limits though, through the early stages of this race. I mean, Carlos Sainz, he was a bit of an anomaly out in, or a bit anomalous, sorry, I should say, out in Australia, but immediately vaulting himself up into the lead and trying to run away as early as he can there as Norris. I did see obviously quite a bit of contact between him and Verstappen, and he really does seem to be on the back foot there. Perhaps it's just trying to get those medium tyres fired up as Antonelli goes all the way around his outside through turn 11 and have the inside and the move done by the time they get up the hill in towards turn 12. So a very shaky start then for Lando Norris. Both of us know these medium tyres, they do take a bit more to try and fire up, but now maybe start to get some temperature in them. It's down in towards that final corner. Can we just bide our time and hopefully see if we can capitalise as well there? Yes, we can. Norris no drive off of the final corner. There's 3 wide as we start lap 2. Are we going to make the double overtake happen there? As I mean, look at that Hadjar. Hadjar's going to make it 4 wide. By the time we get in towards turn 1, I don't like the look of that. Hadjar cuts the corner, and look at that! Foreshadowing, if ever I've seen it there. Looks like, I think that was Norris's front wing that went flying there, as we will get a big run back up the hill, but I just knew I didn't want to be in that spot down in turn 1, and immediately we avoided the instant there, straight back up into P5, so we're back to where we started then in this Grand Prix, but a huge amount of chaos early on, and Lando Norris definitely in the wars.
Wake of the car ahead. Try to get past as soon as possible.
From first on the grid, he is down to P7, and with a wounded car. And there we go, no surprise there. Lando Norris immediately peels into the pit lane at the end of lap 2, so he has got a very, very long afternoon ahead of him. As to the inside then, with Antonelli in towards turn 1. Bahrain really does seem to be quite tricky with these Continental tyres there. Just the different attributes they've got to them make it really, really difficult. Maybe it's just this car, but yeah, we are really, really struggling. As 4 drivers then from 4 different teams up inside your top 4. What can Verstappen and Leclerc do? Of course, neither of them saw the checkered flag out in Australia. And again, with only 10 races this campaign, getting the big results really does matter.
There appears to be an issue. We're currently investigating.
No. It's only lap 4. We're only on round 2 of the season. Please don't say I'm going to have a mechanical failure here in Bahrain. I take an ERS fault. I take anything but a mechanical failure in just round 2 of the season. As we try and make our way up through the top of the circuit. We had no kind of technical gremlins, nothing like that out in Australia. And I guess with Lando Norris way down the order, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, would it? But it would still be a nightmare.
Looks like a mechanical failure. We're going to have to ask you to find a safe spot to retire.
I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. Round 2 of this series, and we are out of the Bahrain Grand Prix on just lap 4. That has got to be one of the earliest mechanical failures I've ever seen on this game. And, I mean, there's no, I don't believe any kind of tweaks to the reliability with this mod or anything like that. It is just pure bad luck on F1 25, as I don't know why the team are trying to do that. I mean, look at that! The engine is just smoking, and the team is still forcing me to drive back out of the pit lane. One thing I really hope they fix for F1 27 is making sure that, kind of, when you dive into the pit lane with an engine that's doing this, maybe, just maybe, the team don't force you back out onto the track.
Okay, this is serious. We need you to retire as soon as possible.
It's another victory and a champion's performance from Max Verstappen.
You always look back at a race like this and think, if I had just made that mistake there or locked up here, there would have been contact. And every one of those overtakes is a moment where you have to absolutely nail it, perfect it, and that's exactly what they're able to do today. Great stuff indeed.
From lights out to the checkered flag, each and every driver has this moment in the back of their mind. Now it's time for their celebrations. Our podium, it awaits. But there can only be one on the top step. Your number 1, Max Verstappen.
Well, there we are then, from P6 on the grid, and a bit of a kamikaze move on lap 2. Isaac Hadjar will win the Bahrain Grand Prix there. Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc, after their both mechanical failures in round 1, they will return to the podium here, just ahead of Franco Colapinto. Joshua Pearce, a brilliant drive to 5th in the end, from 15th on the grid. Carlos Sainz ahead of Gasly, Antonelli, with Bottas getting his first points of the year, I believe, just ahead of George Russell there. Where did Lando Norris finish? Did he even finish the Grand Prix? No, he did not. So your top 2 from Australia, both failing to see the checkered flag this weekend as well. So that certainly means it is wide open in the Drivers' World Championship. Let's take a quick look then at how things are looking. Isaac Hadjar now 15 points clear ahead of Lando Norris at the top of the table. Colapinto up to P3 ahead of Verstappen. As look at that. Verstappen, myself, Carlos Sainz all tied on 18 points apiece, just ahead of Andrea Kimi, Antonelli and Charles Leclerc. Joshua Pearce, their consistency brings him up to P9 ahead of Bortoletto, as Repsol Williams get their first points of the year. Bottas, Albon, and Paul Aaron all with points on the board, though, as well as George Russell there getting Genesis Magma their first points as well in the sport. Ocon, Hulkenberg, both Chip Ganassis, Ollie Behrman, Yuki Tsunoda, and Oscar Piastri all failing to get out of the starting blocks. Constructors-wise, though, Nismo Red Bull, 17 points clear of Santander McLaren. Apex GP, we are still ahead of Ferrari and Mercedes AMG T-Mobile. VW ahead of Repsol Williams, Genesis Magma, and Rocket Rodin, all ahead of the two American teams of Chip Ganassi and Monster Ford Andretti. Again, a massive apology. I can't really control it. If I have a mechanical failure that early on in the day, I can't restart the race. I can't try and do anything differently with it. You are just guaranteed to get a mechanical failure there. To avoid spoilers, though, for kind of people that haven't clicked on the video yet, because obviously this video is probably going to be about 12 minutes long, I'll make sure that I just add the thumbnail to the end of the video there to, like I said, try to avoid any spoilers coming out before people watch the video. But yeah, without further ado, though, we will return out on the Jeddah Corniche. Hopefully we can survive that race.